Do you have to change your build after the recent balance patch? This is a very important question that a lot of people ask me because I have a lot of build guides on my YouTube channel, and are they affected by the recent changes? This is what we want to answer today. As always, special shout out to all my supporters on YouTube and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now, without much further ado, let's jump straight in. By the way, if you did not know, I have a build cheat sheet, link is in the description below, where I show all of my builds, where I have all the links and short description, and of course also telling you which weapon they are using, and very important here for this video, how up to date are they. So if there is a build that changed a bit, I make a comment there and you can see. So this is really important. It was already updated. Now this video to actually let you know about that, and also explaining it here in detail as well. Of course, if you're interested only in one specific build and a specific section of the game, be sure to use the timestamps in the description below to jump to this. But I also want to mention here, if I don't mention your build in this video here, that means there are no changes, or the old build is still completely fine without any changes to it. So this video is only covering guides that are actually affected by the changes in a way that you have to change the gear or some traits or something like that, or relic. Now let's start with the solo builds. We have first Elementalist. Hammer DPS Elementalist that we had with the Celestial build is still perfectly fine, but they nerfed a little bit the damage output. So that's just it, you can't change that. It's still perfectly fine, the build, don't get me wrong, you can use the same gear, but the damage is a little bit nerfed. Next up we have Engineer. The Flamethrower changed a bit in how you use it, that was used in the build as well. It is a little bit changed in terms of functionality, but in general it still has the same usability. You will use it the same way, and it doesn't really have an effect on the builds, on the solo builds at least. Next up we have Mesmer. Mirage got reworked. It uses still the same traits in every single build that I used, but just be aware there are some reworks in terms of how you apply alacrity and that stuff. It doesn't change the builds, it actually makes them better, but just be aware sometimes the traits may be worded differently. For Chrono we have something similar. However, Chronomancer got like a little bit nerfed in that regard, and the traits are not, let's say, changed too much, but it's a little bit different in terms of how you would build the specific gearing. It doesn't affect the solo builds for the most part, but we will get to the PvE group content builds where it's actually affecting it quite a bit. So for solo builds, don't worry too much. You can use the exact same stuff and you will be fine. And if there would be some major changes, I would of course do a big update video as well about the specific build. For Ranger, we got the Untamed sustain nerfs, especially on power Untameds. The build is essentially exactly the same. You take the same trait, but you can't change that. You get a little bit less healing from that. Also, the trait rework for Condi in the Condi trait line is, yes, there is a slight trait rework in terms of arachnophobia, but you still take the same spot of the trait line, and you get a similar amount of damage and stuff, so you just take the same and use the same build. It just has a different name now, so be aware there. It was also not a change of the recent patch, but before that. Regarding Thief, we got the Shade Step rework, which means that if you played the alacrity applying trait in Spectre, you would get now a little bit different functionality. The gameplay is still exactly the same, so typically if you played the solo build, you wouldn't take it anyway. And then you have Warrior. Bladezone got like a big buff with the Mistborn relic. There will be a new build about it soon. That's the biggest update. It also did not change in the last balance patch, but the release before. I just wanted to put that here in the video as well. Now let's get to group PvE. In group PvE, you can now play Elementalist with the Bloodstone relic, which you could already see with the Tempest build that I uploaded, and also you could play Quickness Cutter DPS with that. In general, it just improves the DPS, however, it just got nerfed a little bit, the relic, so we will see if it's still worth it while running above Fireworks, but in the end it does not really matter too much. You can run Fireworks, so Bloodstone relic, it's quite similar. The gearing is not changing at all, use the same thing. I will also have a lot of new builds coming up for Elementalist. I already have with the Inferno build, with the Fire Camping Tempest, and there are much more to come, so check those out in the future. And don't forget to subscribe for that. Now to Engineer. Engineer is the same. You can play a lot of different Engineer builds now with Spear Mechanist. You can play even some Power Mechanist now that is not using Rival and does a lot of damage as well. There are multiple builds actually that are surprisingly good on Engineer now, and I don't have a guide about it yet, so new guides coming soon about that. Regarding Mesmer, we have the Mirage rework that I mentioned earlier. Mirage rework makes it so that it's absolutely insane. You can now heal Mirage, and some kind of Condi Mirage is absolutely insane. But in general, PvE group content, you can still play the same builds that I released already, and there will be much more to come, don't worry about that. Regarding Boon DPS Chronomancer, we got a slight rework of the traits there, and we will have some gearing changes because of that. So because of that, I will also do a new video about the Boon DPS Chronomancer. Be on the lookout for that one. Healing Chronomancer in general, healing is not touched at Mesmer. And my Virtuoso builds are completely unchanged as well. For Necromancer, the Celestial is actually interesting because it got buffed with that, the Celestial Scourge build for group as Alacrity healer. It's really good now, it's even better than before. And in general, Necromancer stays almost exactly the same, and more builds to come in the future about Necromancer 2, of course. But you can still play the old ones perfectly fine, no changes there. Thief, like I already mentioned, we got this Shade Step rework. That means that my Alacrity heal Thief and the Celestial heal Thief are using the same gameplay, having a little bit different how you apply the traits and stuff. But the trait setup is the same, it's just like I said, the rework made it a little bit different how you use the traits. And you use a little bit different gear and might use different traits, like I said, depending on the situation. In general, there will be new guides coming about as well as soon as possible. You see, I have quite a lot of new builds that I want to get there, so please bear with me that I can't keep them updated in the next week. I will try to get all of them pushed out as soon as possible. And for World vs. World, I just want to update my roaming builds here very shortly. Guardian, Elementalist and Revenant, you can run different relics now. Mistborn relic comes up, but there are also other relics. For example, for Herald, you could go for a different relic, or for the Spear roaming Willbender, you could go now for a different relic after the big nerfs to, for example, Stormsinger relic. I really like to run Antitoxin for some reason now, because it's actually really good with the healing skill with the passives, but there are many options for those three classes, so just choose the one that is more suited for your playstyle. Doesn't have to be the ones that are mentioned in the build guide. For Engineer, we got a slight explosive rework, so that means the Holosmith and also Scrapper roaming builds are affected by that. It's still good, but the flashbang is gone in that sense, the broken flashbang CC. So I would say it's a different build a little bit because of that, but in general it plays quite similar. You can still play the Holosmith traits exactly the same, but maybe more builds about that in the future too. Regarding PvP, we have the same for Guardian again. New relics are possible because the Stormslinger relic is not the best option anymore. There come multiple to mind, Brawler relic, Antitoxin, even Thief can be played. So multiple options there. Choose the one that is for your playstyle the best. For Spectre, you can now play Blightbringer, of course, even after the nerfs, it's a really good option. Demon Queen is another good one. So there are multiple ways to play that. Again, play the one that is suited the most to your playstyle. For Mesmer, Power Mirage actually got changed a little bit. I would say it got buffed crazily because of the Dooncloak trait, but also because the Power Block trait is now not as toxic anymore, because you now don't interrupt on a 15-second cooldown, which is a nerf because it was absolutely broken. But now you get a 10% damage buff after you interrupt. Plus the Dooncloak rework, it's actually surprisingly crazy how much damage you can output. Power Mirage, probably the highest DPS build in PvP right now. So I would say taking exactly the same traits as before and using the same setup, even though the traits have a little bit slightly different functionality, making the build better. So that's my analysis here and changes for Mesmer PvP. For my one build for all guides, there is not much changing, only Engineer, like I said, the Flamethrower changed a little bit, but that doesn't have a big effect on how you play it, just has a little bit different skill activation. You use the same gear, same traits, everything the same. For Thief, like I said, Shade Step rework again, same gameplay, just a little bit different application of Alacrity, doesn't matter too much. And with that, we are already at the end. So a lot of builds covered here quite fast. Let me know any questions in the comments down below about my build guides. I hope now I was clear enough for most of them. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks again to all my supporters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.